Today we are going to continue, even we are going to complete our series on the reliability-centered maintenance analysis, and we are going to delve more into the resources available for the knowledge and the experience we needed to fill our analysis or to fill our work sheets. You may have a lot of resources. These resources may look to everyone different. There is not the best resource for you, can be different for me, can be different for another person, and every resource, if you have a lot of resources around you, every resource has its own pros and cons, and then you can consider it, that's the black resource, that's the winning resource, that's the intermediate resource, that's the best resource. So today we are going to go after the failure effect resources, because we had spoken before about the failure effect, and we had known that the failure effect is an essay type that includes a lot of information about how the failure occurs and how it was repaired and who repaired it and what was its effect and how it was discovered and what is the real cost in this and what is related to, and if it's induced from another failure, and a lot of questions you ask during this session to gain the real information, so you can judge the consequences, and based on this you can judge what you can do with the reliability-centered maintenance decisions, what you can do the best tasks that you can do for your equipment, and we are going to pick the best one if, with a condition. We are going to explain it at the end of this lecture, the condition for picking the best one. Okay, so just to refresh our minds, we were having two main sheets. We were speaking about the information worksheet, where we collect the information about our functions, function failures, failure modes, and failure effects. And these failure effects, that's the most important part. That's to collect all the information available, and this one is to collect all the knowledge, all the data and information and knowledge and experience we can collect here, so we can move to the other sheet. On the other sheet, we make decisions. On the other sheet, we make yes and no, and it's available, it's visible, it's not visible, and so on. All of this, you need knowledge, you need experience, you need a lot of information, so then you can make the decisions, and then you can select the proposed task and the proposed duration and who will do this task. You can select it in the best way. So as we say, usually it was first by Stephen Covey, but it's populated by Stephen Covey, but it's well known that you should start with the end in mind. So if you know that that's your end target, so you should start with collecting the failure effect and finding the resources of the failure effect with the best thing in your mind, with your end in your mind, that you are going to fill these sheets and you are going to conclude these decisions. So let's focus, and one by one we check our resources and check who will be the best and what are the pros and cons of everyone. The first resource we had described was our suppliers, manufacturer of our equipment. They have the knowledge of the equipment, they had manufactured the equipment. If it is a reliable supplier, then it collects the information of operation and operation contacts and failures from all the users or the customers that he had sold this equipment to, and he had sold spare parts to, and all the questions that came. He has a very huge possibility, a very huge library of all the failures, all the possible failures, just if he's a reliable supplier and he is keen to record and open to convey this information to ask about. So that's the first part, and so it's having the pros, but these pros, that it has a lot of information if he is a reliable supplier. That's a condition, and if he is willing also to convey it either free or on a cost, and also he is not aware of the context of your operations. So he'll give you some general information or failures from other plants which maybe differ from your operation conditions. The second resource is the web of all the users of similar equipment. You can find this in forums, you can find them on the internet, you can find them by direct communication, you can find them in your local area or similar manufacturers who had purchased the same equipment. But it's the problem of competition. It's open, the competitors can speak with you about something technical. If they are not competitors from other places in the world, maybe the context of the operations or the environmental conditions differs, the experience of the operators and maintainers differs, the temperature differs, many things may differ. That's one of the cons that we usually, or limitations that we say when we are going to apply the best practices. You need to make sure that the manufacturing facility where you are going to select your best practices from are working based on the same operational or context condition or environmental operational conditions that you are having in your manufacturing, or otherwise you need to make some tuning. You cannot take the figures of the best practices as they are and just apply them to you, because the context of operation differs, and based on this the failures that might happen and their effects might differ a lot from your context of operations. The third resource we are going to speak about are your own records. This resource is available only if you make this analysis after a few years of operations. You will find some records of the failures. That's good, and it's related to my machine, so it's from my context of operations. But the problem here that it's not really a problem, but it's a limitation. What is recorded in these records of failures? Whether manual, digital, whatever, you can search through them and so on, but what is recorded? The starting time of the failure, the end time of the failure, the stoppage of the production, what spare parts used, who did this repair, and maybe that's all. So this will not help you in answering the questions of how it failed, how the failure was discovered, what is the real cost, what is the cost, what is the effect on operation, what is the effect on environment, what is the effect on safety, what is the induced effect from this failure on other equipment, or maybe it's coming from induced from another failures or another problems that maybe appeared after a few weeks. Usually in these records we don't relate failures together, so just record each failure as stand-alone. And we do this only if we are making some root cause analysis sessions and so on, so then we link the failures to know what is the real root cause of the failure and so on. So they are available just if you are working a few years or within some period of time from before, and if you have enough information, but usually you will not get this information inside. So the last resource is your team, whether it is the team of maintenance, the team of operations, the team of internal transportation, the team of the warehouse. They have direct relation to the equipment. They monitor, they notice the relation between the failures, the pattern of the failures, how this failure happened, but how it happened the previous time. That's maybe not, you will not find it in the records, but you will find it within the experience and the knowledge of the team. They know more, but not everything is written. Why? That's the limitation point, because when you don't provide, since some time from before, the tool and the facility, so your team can give recommendations, they can write more, they can tell more. You should have some structured writing, because then you can make the analysis and so on, but you should have some margin to allow them to tell more, to speak more, to get more information, to gain more knowledge, and to express this knowledge freely. At this moment when you are making the failure effect analysis, you will need them. That will be your best resources, just in case they have the freedom to speak, they have the freedom and the knowledge and the experience, and you support this and you grow this, to notice, to monitor, to link the failures together, to analyze by their own. You ask their opinion, you interrogate them with questions and so on. They will be your best resource for the failure effect knowledge. What are the failure effect knowledge? It is the knowledge about the failure that we needed to discuss or to record the consequences and the best maintenance practices we needed for the reliability-centered maintenance. So again, to start with the end in mind, if you are starting your reliability-centered maintenance analysis, the end is to make selection for the best tasks that will match your equipment and your conditions, your context of operations. So that's your end target from the reliability-centered maintenance analysis. As we had said, we have many resources. In this, we have the manufacturers, and the other users of the same equipment, but they are limited, and because they are not related to your equipment. Your records are related to your equipment, but the data inside the records usually is limited unless you give space to record more knowledge and experience from your team. And the last and the trophy or the winning is your internal team of operations and maintenance, in case that you allow them to record. So you should start now to allow them to record and to express their knowledge and their recommendations and to speak freely, so they will help you when you are making your reliability-centered maintenance analysis. In case that any of this has resonated to you, you can reach us directly to our web store. You will find the links in the description box of this video, so you can ask for coaching or consultancy service, or even you can join our trainings in Arabic and English on Udemy platform. Wait for the new comings from Simple Ways for Maintenance.